All right, and we are live. What is going on, guys? You got Daisha here coming to you live from Tigard, Oregon with episode number 2 of If We Can Do It, Then So Can You. I am super stoked to be here with you guys today. I have someone that I'm going to be bringing on here pretty quick here. He grew up being pretty shy growing up, right? It's a lot like me. I was really introverted growing up, and he was the same kind of way. But now he is a full-time entrepreneur. I'm super excited for him to share your story with you guys. So I'm going to bring him on right now. Welcome to the call, David. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Hey.
I appreciate it.
Yeah, of course. I appreciate you. So you're a full-time entrepreneur now, right?
I am.
Awesome. So can you kind of tell the viewers a little bit about what it is that you do now?
Well, what don't I do? First, I am an author. I am a self-published author. I also have a podcast as well. I have a few stocks. I'm also starting 2 companies. I have a perfume line that I'm currently building, and I also have a wine line on top of that.
Awesome. Wow, that's amazing. So you're a full-time entrepreneur now, but obviously it wasn't always that way. One question that I usually like to ask people is kind of taking people to their childhood. So when you were like growing up as a child, did you always kind of have this dream of you owning a perfume line and writing books and things like
that? No. I actually, entrepreneurship was actually the furthest thing from my career choices because I didn't know anyone at that time that was an entrepreneur themselves. So I didn't really have anyone to use as an example. So a couple of things that I had thought about doing was music. I had thought about joining music and becoming a DJ. I had also thought about psychology, and I had also thought about becoming a professional swimmer. So entrepreneurship was much later on down the road. It wasn't something that I thought of initially, but once I was introduced and I got a taste of it for myself, I was all in after that, you know, and books was really my taste of entrepreneurship, because in truth, books is a form of entrepreneurship because it's yours. It's your ideas on paper. It's the title of your book. It's your chapters. It's however long you decide your book to be. So that is a form of entrepreneurship and creativity. So that was my first taste of it. And then after that, I just decided to just expand and just get into perfume and wine and other things because I loved the creative process of books. So I wanted to carry that over into other stuff.
Wow.
So that's how I fell in love with perfume and wine and others.
That's amazing. So you were saying that you didn't really kind of have that, I guess I wouldn't say passion, but you didn't really have like the desire to write books as a kid. So was there like an influence for you, like as a kid, that kind of set that path of you being interested in books and things like that? Was there someone that kind of influenced you in that?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, it didn't even happen when I was a kid. It happened when I was like a young adult. So when I was like 20 years old, I had a friend, or have a friend, who kind of put the bug in my ear that I should write books. I am a former blogger, so I blogged first before I made the jump into writing books because I wanted to be comfortable with writing a book, because a book is a huge deal. So I wanted to be comfortable. So I had a friend that read some of my blogs, and I talked about everything from astrology to things that I saw that I didn't like, to people with disabilities, to accepting yourself. So those were all things that I spoke of in my blogs. And she was able to identify with some of the things that I was just venting about and just talking from my heart, so to speak. And she put the bug in my ear that I should write a book. Now, initially, I kind of brushed it off. You know, I didn't think anyone would listen or want to hear what I had to say because I'd never written a book before. So initially, I brushed it off, but the more that I thought of it, the more it just wouldn't leave me alone. It kept me up at night. You know, it made me wake up at 3 in the morning, which I had never done before. And it really changed my habits. So every night for about a year and a half, I would just wake up at like 4 in the morning and just write whatever it was that was meant for me to write. So after I did that for about a year and a half and I was able to write my first book, I cried like a baby. I did. But that was my initial introduction to it. So yeah, I had a friend that influenced me onto this path, and I thanked her profusely for that, because she didn't have to do that. And I'm very aware that people don't have to give you nudges, but I don't think there's any coincidences in life. I feel like the universe and God and the powers that be have ways of shifting you into things that you're supposed to be doing. So that's really how I took it. And it's been an awesome ride ever since. And I have no plans on stopping anytime soon. But yeah, it was a friend. I had a friend that for sure, like, she definitely kicked me in the right direction.
That's awesome. And I'm kind of glad that you kind of touched base on that. Because I feel like there's a lot of people out there that, like, at first they feel like they don't have a passion. They feel like they don't know what's going on inside their lives. And I was kind of the same way. But then you just, all of a sudden, there's just that like one little push. And then all of a sudden, like you said, you're staying up till 3 a.m. or waking up at 3 a.m., 4 a.m. in the morning, just because that passion, that desire is like flowing through you. So I think it's amazing that you touched base on that. So next question that I did want to ask you. So your biggest influence, did you have like a family member or anyone else that kind of you looked up to, or you've seen that they had certain values that they lived by and it kind of made you want to live in the same type of way?
Yes. Actually, and I wish I had found this out sooner, but my grandfather was a big influence. My grandfather was an entrepreneur in his generation as well. And I wish that I had found that out sooner, but he had 3 or 4 businesses of his own that he started. So he was an investor in real estate. He had a nonprofit organization. He had, I think, a TV repair shop and a construction company. So once I found out that he did those things, it kind of, it shifted. It made a major shift for me. So that's where books and perfume and all of this stuff came from, because I wanted to live up to his example. I saw that nobody else was really living up to his example. So I decided to kind of accept that challenge and live up to it myself. So, and that's one of the personal vows that I've personally made is, as long as I'm around, entrepreneurship is going to be around. And I love what I do. And so that was my biggest influence. It was my grandpa. And that's why I'm releasing my 3rd book, which is coming soon, on my birthday, because he was born 2 days after me. So I was born the 9th and he was born the 11th. So I kind of felt like that was my way of paying homage, you know? So he was definitely like the biggest influence out of everybody on why I'm doing what it is that I'm doing.
Wow, that's awesome. Well, thank you, Grandpa.
So,
one other question I wanted to ask was, one thing that I've noticed that a lot of people struggle with when they're trying to do something big, when they're trying to start up their own company or become an entrepreneur or do something different than the normal day-to-day thing, is they have a lot of naysayers. They start something, but then they have that devil on their shoulder, or their family members, friends talking in their ear saying, you're not good enough, you're not going to be able to succeed, and all of this crazy nonsense. Did you ever have that? And how did you deal with that if you did?
Yes. Naysayer syndrome. So that's come from a couple of people, people that never thought that I would be doing books or perfume or wine or anything. It's come from people that were once close to me at one point. And one of my ways of dealing with that is, instead of getting mad or upset, which I used to do, I really think of it in terms of time now. Like, what have I been able to do over time despite what's been said? And it greatly outweighs what people have said, you know, as far as being able to say um, that I have books on my resume, that I've spoken at my former elementary school on my resume, that I have stocks, that I have these things, despite what they said. So I focus more so on, I guess you could say, my longevity. I guess that's the best way for me to put it. So that's why I don't really get upset at the naysayers anymore. Although when I didn't have a backbone, it did bother me because it was coming from people that I thought um, would have my best interest at heart, but they ended up not so. So initially, it used to get me upset, but now it doesn't. Like I just look at longevity and what I've been able to do and continue to do, despite what they said. And being stubborn helps. It really does. Um, so I think that's attributed to why I just continue to push, you know, despite what people say and despite people who may or may not leave along the journey. I just continue to push because I'm looking at the bigger picture a lot of times, which I guess is both good and bad. But that helps. I feel like it helps, you know, so you don't get caught up in the small things that people say.
So if someone were to say that they have like friends, families, or whatever, naysayers telling them that they aren't good enough inside of their lives, would your recommendation be really just focus on like your vision and focus on what you've already accomplished inside of your lives? Do you feel that that would help them?
I do. And then I also feel that being in the right around the right people helps too. Whether it's through Facebook, whether it's somebody that you could text or call, however it is that you need to rejuvenate yourself, do that. You know, sometimes it, like I said, you can't always reach people on the phone. So there's always Facebook, and there's a ton of groups that are specifically designed for masterminds and for people who think big and things like that. So, hold on. So outside of that, I feel like that helps as well. Not just focusing on your vision, but finding like-minded people also who share your vision or who are on the same path as you, even though they do different stuff.
That's awesome. I'm glad that you said that. In the last interview that we did on episode 1, Travell said the same thing. I mean, that was one of the biggest things that he said for other people. Surround yourself with the right people. Because if you, even though you may have this great idea and a plan on how to get there, if you're not surrounding yourself with the right people, then you're probably just going to feed into what it is that they're doing. One of the biggest quotes that I found is like, the 5 people that you surround yourself the most like is who you're going to become the most like. So you may have started out being this positive, inspirational person, but then you surround yourself with broke, closed-minded people. Eventually, you're going to end up being broke and closed-minded. So
Right.
I'm glad that you said that. So you said that you have your new book coming out on the 9th?
Yeah, of January.
9th of January. Cool. So can you kind of tell us a little bit about that book? You said that you wanted to do it because it was kind of like giving thanks to your grandpa for influencing you in a positive way. But what is the book actually about?
Well, it's actually an open letter. Um, it's actually an open letter. So unfortunately, I found out much later on in life that that my grandfather was an entrepreneur. So basically what my book is about is I wanted to let him know what I've been up to. I do believe that people that are passed on do speak to you, whether it's through dreams, whether it's through ideas, or however it is that they choose to do so. I firmly believe that they speak to you. And so um, I've had spiritual conversations with him about where I'm going and about what I've been up to. And I wanted to shed light on that because I wanted people to kind of know what really drives me. Yes, money is nice. Yes, nice things are nice, but it should be deeper than just wanting nice stuff and just having money. And so that's really what I wanted to share with people, you know, is that yes, I like everybody else and focus on nice stuff and I like nice things, but this is the driving force behind why I do what it is that I do and why I don't plan on stopping anytime soon. And so I just wanted people to get a better sense of me as a person and why I just have like this dogged determination, why I just will not quit for anybody or anything. And I just wanted people to just get a better understanding of that.
That's awesome. And I think that's going to help people too. I mean, if people have a better understanding why it is that you're doing what it is that you do, that they can kind of self-reflect to do the same thing. One of the things that I found is when I first started online, like I had a lot of self-doubt, self-hate. So I didn't think that I was good enough because of the conditioning. But then when I would listen to the stories of other people and why they continue to go on, even when they have those naysayers, that's what pushed me in that right direction. So I think that's amazing that you're trying to give back to others. So one last thing that I wanted to ask you, what is one big piece of information that you would like to give all of the viewers that would watch this? Like one big piece of information that could help them inside of their personal lives?
If you think big, don't be afraid. At one point, I was terrified of thinking big. I didn't think that getting to the level of a Bill Gates or Warren Buffett or Elon Musk was doable until I saw people who did it. So that is what shifted my mindset. So now I won't let anyone tell me that I can't get to where it is that they are, because I've seen that they've done it already and it's been done countless times. So I can either listen to people who haven't done it, who are telling me that it can't be done, or I can go watch a YouTube video and see that there's countless people who are doing what it is that I aspire to do. So I choose the latter. So if you have big ideas and big dreams, don't be afraid. Like there's probably 9 times out of 10, probably somebody who thinks big the way that you think big. They just might be waiting for you to take the first step, if that makes sense. So don't be afraid to think big and don't shrink your vision because of people who may not see it.
Right.
And I think that that's another thing in the world of entrepreneurship that sometimes we do, because it takes so long for us to manifest things and put in the time towards things. So I think that sometimes we settle and we shrink. So don't shrink your vision. Amplify the people that can see your vision, but don't shrink your vision. So that would be like my best advice for like somebody that might be on their own come up or going through similar processes. Like if you have a vision, write it down. Don't be afraid to write it down either. But that would be like my tips.
That's awesome. I love that. So like he said, guys, like don't allow your vision to be shrunk. Like if you have this big vision for yourself, don't be afraid to go after it, right? Like, is it going to be hard? Probably, right? It's probably going to be extremely difficult, but that's why not every single person is doing it. Like your vision matters and you should not allow yourself to shrink that just because of what everyone else is saying and the noise going on around you. And don't be afraid, right? Like, yes, it's going to be scary. Yes, you're going to have to step outside your comfort zone, but that's where all of the growth happens. So just allow it to go through. So last thing that I wanted to talk about, you said that you did your first book was talking about being an introvert, correct?
Yeah.
Kind of stepping out of that. So you were an introvert for quite a long time.
Yes.
Okay. So what was the biggest shift for you that happened during that period of time? Like what made you go from being an introvert to being able to kind of step outside of that and do things anyways?
You know what? I grew tired of feeling like people were telling me how I should feel. That was a big thing for me because I'd always liked the idea of being free. So I didn't want anyone telling me how I should feel, what I should say, when I should say it, how I should say it, what I should wear when I'm saying it. I really wanted to just be myself. And unfortunately, at the time, a lot of the people that I was surrounded with wanted me to be suppressed. They wanted me to just keep things to myself when I had such awesome ideas that I was ready to just spill out of my brain. And it took getting away from those people to being around people that are expressive, that are not afraid to tell you hey, I think you're messing up in this area. Like they're just honest. And so I think that um, over time, that's really what has caused me to be honest myself and to tell people the truth myself, because that's what I was around. Like that's what I put myself around. So um yeah, that was my shift, you know, because I grew tired of feeling like I was under control by other people. And usually once I get tired of something, like I take it upon myself to change it. I usually don't wait for people to tell me what to do, how to do it, when to do it, which way I should go about doing it. So I got sick of the feeling, you know, and so that was my initial push into just being expressive. And that's why I have so much things to write about now, because I have free reign to express all that stuff now. And before I didn't. So that's really where it stemmed from. You know, it's just um making those small changes, you know, which led to big changes.
That's awesome. I love that. So the book that you had written, it's an eagle eye with a lion's heart, correct?
Yeah, how introverts can break through barriers.
That's awesome. So if you guys want to check out that book, make sure to click either the button or the link in the comments below. The link will look a little something like this. It'll say register here. Make sure to tap on that. You'll be able to go order his book off of Amazon. But yeah, guys, I mean, that's pretty much it for today's interview. David, thank you so much for sharing your story with us. I really appreciate it. Is there any other advice, tips, tricks, or anything that you would like to give the audience before we hop off here?
I feel like being transparent is a big thing as well. Because I know that in one of your videos, you had talked about wearing a mask. And I think the sooner that you're transparent, the better you'll feel, and you won't feel guilty about wearing a mask. So if I can leave anyone with anything, it's to just be yourself, and whatever is for you will be for you. Um, it won't leave if you stop thinking about it. You know what I mean? So just be yourself. Like just find things that work for you, not what other people want you to work for you, if that makes sense. Like just stick to what your heart tells you.
That's awesome. That's it, guys. Be you. Like, that's the biggest thing. And you guys hear me say it all the time. Like, what works best for you may not be the best thing for another person. So find what works best for you, follow your heart, and continue to push through and just be happy. Like, I can't express that enough, guys. Just be happy, be you, and we will catch you guys in the next episode. Have a wonderful rest of your day, and bye for now.
I guess.